It's the Score North Twin Show.
All right, Score North Twin Show. I promised we were going to sleep on this. Part of me debated going live last night, but it was 11 p.m. our time.
Tell the truth.
Dex Tweets had about 2.5, 3 whiskeys.
Yeah, that's why you didn't go live, because you wanted a job this morning.
Figured. You know what?
By the way.
I should sleep on this, and
The
it was
sports
late.
dad appreciates that decision. Yeah, it was late, but I mean, and people were pissed.
People were pissed.
Fighting on Twitter.
I was pissed. A lot of people were pissed.
You were very pissed.
Yeah, so I didn't want to have to.
Good move not to go.
Yeah.
If you had a couple beers or seltzers,
different story.
I'd say go.
Yep. No.
But if you're drinking the hard stuff,
yeah.
From personal experience, and this has been a long time, I've not had the hard stuff for probably 25 years.
Yep.
But man, it hits you different.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I've only recently, by the way, welcome to Score Our Twin Show. Hit the like button, subscribe button. That's Judd. Mackey's out, so Judd and I are gonna fillet the manager and fillet the organization here in just a sec. But only recently have I gotten into just drinking whiskey like on rocks, nothing in it. Ooh. That's a newish thing in the last few months for me. But I need ice. I can't drink neat. I cannot drink anything neat. I don't know how people do that. That's disgusting to me. I think that's foul.
In my days, I was a gin and tonic guy for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Cranberry vodka guy.
Oh wow.
My problem was, let's just say that the hard stuff.
Yep.
Put me in a much more foul mood than like beer does. Beer, I'm fine.
Was it Zimas? Were those the things that people drank in the 90s?
That was a beer that was that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, long story short, it's the 90s, and I went out. I mean, my God, it was probably 93 or so, and I went out to the now closed Williams Pub in Uptown.
Loved Williams. Yeah, great bar.
And this is before I cared or understood about alcohol levels, right? Because when I started to drink beer, it was just like Budweiser and Bud. They were all about the same. Well, Zima evidently had a lot more. I didn't know that. Zima also tasted really good, so I had a lot of them. It was, I don't remember the end of the night, but let's just say the next morning was not very pleasant. But Zima was I think it was considered a type of like beer / so I don't know that it was considered like hard alcohol, but I think that sports dad will say, I think you made a very wise move by 1, sleeping on things, and 2, in fairness, as Plouffe talked about, and he and Provis were great last night. In fairness, too, we needed to find out from Rocco who was available in the bullpen and who wasn't. Because, like, Plouffe finally, and he was right, he's like, okay, Duran must be down. Turns out he wasn't, but we find that out, and it gives us a lot more ammunition to do today's show, and away we go, as Kevin O'Connell says.
Yeah, and away we bleep and go. Speaking of not feeling great in the morning after, I still don't think people feel great the morning after that implosion. That's the second implosion in 3 days for the Twins bullpen, which was another just head-scratching move. Now, I came on the State of the Twins on Monday and said the reason the Alcala imploded, or mainly why Rocco left him in, was I think that's more of a bleep you to the front office. I brought up the story about how he said to Corey even last week that we need to also trade for pitchers. I kind of stuck by that a little bit last night. But at the end of the day, that move is self-sabotaging yourself. Like the Twins and Rocco self-sabotaged yesterday's game by putting in Steven Okert, who has absolutely no business being in the 8th inning in a high-leverage situation. And for a team that loves to have the platoon matchups on both sides, by the way, not just from hitting, but on a pitching side too, to use Steven Okert, who has just been honestly awful over the last month. Yes, he's good against lefties, but people are Barry Bonds against him from the right side of the plate. You knew that they were going to pinch hit the moment he came into that game, and it didn't work at all for Steven Okert. He ends up surrendering all those runs. It's a little too late by the time he's removed from the game, and that was just it's inexcusable. It is inexcusable to let that type of game happen. And we're now, by the way, this is August 21st. This isn't some, as Herb Brooks says, some throwaway game in Rochester. You're at the point here where you're trying to catch Cleveland, and to shoot yourself in the foot like that.
Yeah.
As much as I do think there's still a bleep you going on, look at what we have. And by the way, Trevor brought that up of, hey, this is the bullpen. We need guys to get outs too that aren't Griffin Jacks or Duran.
Yeah.
That was a self-implosion, and for whatever reason, Rocco lit the fuse and stood there and watched it.
So I got two problems with this. So let's go back to the Alcala meltdown in the seventh on Sunday, okay? Twins are up 4-rip. It looks like they're going to sweep. They don't sweep. Ultimately, in the micro analysis, very disappointing. In the macro, you took 3 of 4. But Alcala's a guy that I think you've grown to trust, right, Dex?
Yeah. Yes. He's the third best option at that.
So what didn't make sense about that is not the fact that he pitched. He should have pitched. It was absolutely fine. You're up by 4. Everything made sense except for this. So I know that when you bring a pitcher in, he's got to face 3 guys. So that's the mandatory. You can't go get him after 1 guy. You can't go get him after 2 guys. You can go get him after 3 guys if he's hemorrhaging, okay? But what made no sense about allowing Alcala to basically wear it in Texas as the lead was blown is that the Garcia home run was the 5th guy Alcala faced. The Young home run was the 7th and final batter. So in that case, I'm like, Rocco, okay, the guy is struggling. It's very, very clear. We are well past 3 batters, right? But I had no problem with the decision of Alcala. It was Rocco watching the world basically fall apart and doing nothing until it was too late. Then let's fast forward to last night, which I think is more egregious. Okert, to your point, I know that you're trying to bring in a southpaw. And Dex, your statement is pretty inflammatory. Like if Rocco Badelli is, screw you guys, look at this. But nonetheless, he didn't bring in Richards.
No.
Who he shouldn't have. But I mean, that was the guy that they got. We're going to give you a left-hander. Well, the reverse splits aren't good. So Okert comes in. So unlike Sunday with Alcala, I actually have a problem with Okert coming in because, as you said, Solano they know that he's going to pinch hit. And furthermore, Arise is a left-handed batter who we all know can hit lefties.
Yeah.
So there's not a great split there of this is why. Then, so we go, honest to God, we go Solano, single. Arise, single. Profer, home run. Okay, now you can go get him.
Right.
Cronenworth, single. Machado pops out to 3rd, inning done, damage done. And here's my question, because the question of Twins defenders is, well, what would you have done? What should they have done? I mean, you're talking about the problem. What's the solution? 2 things. 1, you probably took Ober out too quickly. But let's just say for the sake of the conversation, you didn't. That he threw a bad pitch and he was going to struggle. So I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, Dex. You brought in Griffin Jacks, who got out of the inning, got 3 outs, and threw 10 pitches.
Yep.
Okay. Solution 1. You're
Jacks.
trying to win, and you've got this game. Like San Diego's really good, okay? So make no assumptions. If you have a lead, protect it. You might lose today. Now you're swept. At least if you had won 1 game, you get 1 of 3, and you had the lead. So bring back Jacks. No, we can't. Now here's my bigger question, and this is something that I wish Phil was here as well, but I'll just ask you. You guys have applauded, and I have been converted to, if you're in a situation to protect the lead and win the game, you focus on that. Mm-hmm. I.e., you bring in Duran in the 8th. Now, I would have brought Jacks back, but let's just say you've got a lead. It's a very slim lead. It's a very good club. And we did wait to find out, hey, were Alcala and Duran up? The answer was yes. They did not bring either of them in. Now, Alcala, I understand it, but it does bug me because the lip service for the past 2 days has been, got to get him back out there. The best thing about being a relief pitcher is when you screw up, you get back out there, right? But, all right, you didn't. But why not bring back Jacks or bring in Duran to take the 8th to at least get you through. Because once that lead's gone, Dex, the 9th don't matter.
Yep. So it was 9-1-2 due up in the bottom of the 8th for the Padres. So you're going to get the top of the order. In a best case scenario, you're going to get 9-1-2 in the 8th, and then you're going to get 3-4-5, obviously, in the 9th if you're going to get them out early and get all the 3 guys out respective order in the 8th. So bringing in Steven Okert, who's a lefty specialist, and honestly, not high on the pecking order, is just perplexing to me. Yes, I would have entertained Duran. Cole Sands hasn't pitched in this series yet. Would have entertained Cole Sands. Yeah. Even with the Alcala meltdown, I still trust Jorge Alcala. I would have brought Alcala back in there. To go from not putting Jax back out, okay, that's a little perplexing, to then going to basically your worst, if not second worst, relieving option in that bullpen.
Yep.
I mean, for a team that has claim of trying to learn from past mistakes, I just don't understand that. I mean, look, when Rocco was in the first year in 2019 in the ALDS, it was Barrios started game 1, and then they brought in Zach Littell. And Judd, you were there. You were in the Bronx, I believe, for that series.
I was in the press box when this.
And they bring in Zach Littell, who was having a nice season. He was, probably 3rd or 4th in the pecking order of that bullpen at the time.
Right.
And at that point, Zach Littell melts down, and they lose the game in the 5th, and then they never came back. And that was a back and forth early game. The Twins, I think, had a lead at one point. Barrios was okay. He wasn't bad though, but it was time to go to the bullpen.
Home run in the first, right?
Yeah.
Blanco, I believe.
Yeah, they got off to a lead, but then they bring in Zach Littell.
Yep.
And it's, that's a situation where that Yankees lineup, you don't need Zach, you need Tyler Duffy at the time, who was really, really good. You need one of more years shut down arms. We're seeing that all the time in playoff baseball.
Yep.
So like that situation, that can't happen in a playoff game.
Well, and
this has a playoff game feel. You are trying to win your division, and you put out your worst relieving option when you had plenty of guys available who were better options. You need to win the game today. Worry about tomorrow. What was the fear of putting in a Cole Sands or an Alcala again or Duran? All 3 of those guys are better options than Steven Okert to try to get out 1, 2, 3.
And the thing about it is, if you bring back Jax, Jax is almost certainly probably not going to pitch today again. So if he doesn't pitch today, if he had pitched the 8th, which would have given you a better chance, then he's down today regardless, and that's fine. You took what should have been, and you said exactly what I thought too, because I also saw this. You guys are criticizing it. Remember, it's 162, play 162, and that's true. But here's my criticism. This is indicative, as you pointed out with Littell, of what this team has done in the playoffs. I'll go back to the 2020 series first round against the Astros.
Mm-hmm. 2
quick hooks.
Yep.
For no good reason. Barrios, Maeda were both pitching well. 2 quick hooks. You lost. So this is not an indictment of 162. You could certainly try that. I wouldn't debate it too much, but let's just say you're a long season, Judd. So back off. Okay. Then look at the Rocco Badelli, Falvey, I guess, playoff history. And you tell me that last night's not indicative of their tendencies to screw things up at the very worst time. So yeah, it was frustrating. And I would like to say this. Having Bally Sports North back is glorious. Corey and Trevor did a great job of second guessing, or I'm sorry, first guessing what Baldelli was doing, wondering about where guys were. This was as un-Bally Sports North, save for the Wolves, because those guys also do a great job. But this was as un-Bally Sports North as you could possibly get. And it was a big league broadcast because they were exactly right. And it's just refreshing to hear a conversation that reflects the reality of the game and not what the team wants. But yeah, I again am concerned for the playoffs because what are they doing? And we do have joint responsibility here because Derek Falvey at the deadline went out and got Trevor Richards and no starter. There's no depth here. So you're either going to ride the guys who got you here, or you're going to do what happened last night, which was, let's see. And I mean, it's literally, here's the question. What can Okert do? Because you don't know. And we found out. And so, like, the Alcala thing was disturbing because I felt that he was left in way too long. The Okert thing, from a decision standpoint, is very disturbing, way more than Sunday, because you didn't make the wrong decision on Sunday. And the postgame with Rocco Dex also, he basically talked about how fast, and I think he did the same on Sunday, how fast this happens. Like, it happens so fast. Dude, you are the manager. It is your sole responsibility to stop the bleeding. You have the ability to slow the game down, and you're talking about, well, it happened so fast. If that's how you feel, we got problems.
Yeah. And I'd like to think that this team did learn from those mistakes in 19 and 20. Like, I thought their management last year in 2023 playoffs with the Blue Jays and the Astros, like, Sonny Gray pitched 5 innings. They needed to go to the bullpen. They gave it to Louis Varland. He walked the plank a little bit, but pitches out of it, does fine. You know, they pitched Jax into Duran in both those games against Toronto that clinched those. Those are 3-1 and 2-0 games. Those are tight knit playoff games, just like kind of this one was. I know this was a more of an offensive, sluggers going back and forth and punching each other. But now when you are in the 8th inning, there's 6 outs to go, and everything is now high leverage. And for you to put the worst possible option out there is baffling to me. It's absolutely baffling.
What do you think they are thinking there, though? Because they have, like, you had previously, this season praised them, right? Because they have brought in Duran.
Yes.
They brought in Jax at times where, traditionally you wouldn't, right? But based on the situation. So what are you like, how does the same brain that says, hey, you know what, let's have Duran take the 8th, because if we don't get through the 8th, we're not going to win.
Yeah.
How does the brain power then shift to Steven Okert?
And finally, you have an off day coming up on Thursday. You've played 13 games in 12 days because you had a doubleheader against Cleveland that I think kicked this thing off. So, like, you're fighting it right now. You're going through a long period without rest, but you have an off day coming up on Thursday. Everyone can reset and just be all right for a little bit. So, yeah, I don't know. I know Jace Tingler is a big Rocco relies on Jace Tingler a lot for mostly upcoming situations, but I don't know how is Jace more focused on the offense? Does he rely on Pete?
Pete Mackey?
Yeah, is this a Pete Mackey thing?
But
that
he's got to say no too.
Here's how we're going to bridge this.
Like Rocco, just say no. No, that's a terrible idea. Yeah. You can't trust those guys.
So I don't know in terms of the delegation of how yesterday's result took place, because it is absolutely it's screwed up. Quick shout out, by the way, to our friends, the Element Hotel. Any Cardinals fans, Braves fans, if you're looking for a last minute hotel
Blue Jays
spot,
fans, dude.
Blue Jays fans,
Manitoba.
Absolutely, that's coming up in a week. Element Hotel. We love when our road opposing teams. In fact, top secret mission. Mackie, Judd, and Declan will be at the Element Hotel next week for a fun little podcast. You can stay tuned for more information on that. But the Element Hotel has free Wi-Fi. It's pet-friendly, too. It's steps away from Target Field. Go to scorenorth.com/element for 15% off your booking. So all you Blue Jays fans, tell them the Score North Twin Show sent you. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate the Element Hotel for sponsoring programming here on the Score North Twin Show. Also, we're giving away a Roku TV. Go to the Score North app. Listener rewards. You can go enter your chance to win a fancy TV there. Nothing better than a brand new TV. Judd loves his TVs. Judd, you're not eligible to win this one, unfortunately, but our listeners are. So go to the Score North app, enter listener rewards for a chance to win. Yeah, put it in Stella's name. I won't tell anyone. You won't tell anyone. I'll put Vinny's name in there too.
I don't blame him one bit.
We'll do the same thing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and kind of closing words here on the Score North Twin Show. Hector Neris is available. This could get outdated quick. He cleared waivers. He could sign with anyone, but Hector Neris is available. I don't know if they'll go out and get him, but right now you have Griffin, Jax, Duran, and Alcala, which are 3 good options. I think those are as as good. I feel good about those going in the playoffs. But guess what? All three of them can't pitch every single day in the playoffs. You're going to need Caleb Thielbars. You're going to need Cole Sands. You're going to need other arms to step up here. I agree with Plouffe. This is the bullpen we have. We're going to have to get outs that are probably a little uncomfortable. But yesterday's decision making is just completely head scratching me. I haven't had too many wow, what the bleep are they doing moments in 2024 with this team. I haven't. This one is at the top. It's number one.
Why do you think they didn't turn to, if they were going to go to a lefty, Caleb?
It's another good question.
Like, he has been throwing.
He's been better
of late.
I trust him more than Okert.
Okert's a train wreck.
Yes.
Caleb was a train wreck, but I feel like his stuff of late has been
It's been
decent.
better.
But yeah, and here's the thing too. As much as they love their splits and their matchups and stuff, the reality is with the bullpen that they have, I think there's going to be situations where you can't just say, you know what, it's a lefty. Because first of all, you're going to turn guys, you're going to get guys pinch hit for, right?
Yep.
Like, you would have been better off last night if Solano hadn't hit. So like, I think that the platoons in that are great when you have the right players. But if you're doing it for the sake of because we can do this or that, and this is the Twins' problem, and this is the problem with anyone who deals too much in the analytical world, they get way too cute.
Yeah.
Like, their beliefs are they're like, they outsmart the game, and that's impossible because the game will bite you in the ass almost every time. Doesn't mean it can't work, but you got to be smart about it. And it feels like when things get intense sometimes with the Twins, they sort of lose their marbles.
Yeah.
And they make decisions based on what they make decisions based on the old saying that everybody hates. Well, that's the way we've always done it. We've always put a lefty out there in that situation.
Yeah.
So
it's baffling. So we'll see what happens in Game 3 tonight against the Padres before they come back home and
bring on those Friars. A little priest.
I'll have an extra innings episode tonight. I won't have any whiskeys between 5 and 8 p.m. because it's 5:30, I think, start time Central Time.
I'm gonna have a couple of beers, I think.
Why are we
3:30?
Why are we starting a game in San Diego at 3:30 on a Wednesday?
I'd have to look at what they're.
Like what?
Well,
I don't get that.
It's weird. It's not starting at like 3:30 our time.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be fine with that. I don't.
Well, you know what's going to happen now too?
Is it too hot?
Depending on the ballpark, shadows could play a role.
Oh, shadows. Yeah,
right into the shadows.
Twins players hate the hitters hate the 6:40 start times.
Oh,
they can't see in the first inning.
Well, and a 3:00 start. A 3:00 start local time is one of the worst because you play into it then, so there's no definition.
Yeah, they. I've talked to numerous Twins hitters who hate the 6:40 start time because of the glares and shadows and all that. They cannot see in the first inning. They are literally guessing. Now, sometimes it's worked out. They've scored runs in the first inning.
Right.
But they. I know a lot of Twins hitters are not a fan of those 6. I think they're great. Setting that as part aside, I think it's great. It gets the game done quicker. You're not there late. Yeah. I like that, but
fan experience.
I mean, but for all the buildings up on the Target Field skyline, I don't know how I don't think you can combat that. Like I don't like. Well, I don't know what they do,
but so to your point though, the 6:40 start is tough, but then it's gone quickly. Like it's basically what the first where they say that they can't see, but then it's not a gradual thing. It's pretty quick that you can see. The problem with like the start for the Padres tonight is it's going to be multiple innings of that. That's your problem. Because that's why you don't want to start games at like 3:00 your time. So anyway. All right. That's all I got.
Yeah. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. This is the
Be Smart
Score North Twin Show. Be smart.
Rocco.
Judd will be ready. Be ready to put more filet mignon on that grill. He's not afraid. A little extra seasoning. I know you're ready.
Oh God, yeah. Nothing like
ready.
seasoning.
You're always ready.
Nothing like seasoning.
That's true.
Get a
it's good enough steak. You don't need the seasoning. But sometimes
that's true. That's actually true.
You need the seasoning. You have a good enough cut of meat.
But then the seasoning can go on the baked potato with the chives and the sour cream and the butter.
If my cut of meat is a Steven Okert, I'm layering that thing up with a bunch of seasoning, and I'm not putting it out.
You're probably sending it back.
Yeah, probably sending that one down. Hit the like button, subscribe button, Score North Twin Show. We'll have an extra innings episode later tonight.